guys, today we're going to talk about skilled worker visa. It is a type of visa that allows you to work and live in the UK, and the biggest advantage of being on the skilled worker visa is that after 5 years you will be eligible to apply for full permanent residency in the UK. If your goal is to eventually settle down and start a family, start a new life in the UK, then being on the skilled worker visa is the cheapest and the most cost-effective option comparing to other options like investment visa, innovator visas, etc. What usually happens is you come to the UK to study for some time, and because it's such a diverse and global place in the UK, then naturally after you graduate you want to work here for some time to have opportunities to be exposed to different cultures, to grow your career and develop yourself, and to be really connected with the world. So I know a lot of you guys might be interested in applying to skilled worker visa, and the question often is, how do I actually get a skilled worker visa? To answer that question, it is not easy to get a skilled worker visa because the most important thing that you need to do is to get a job offer from a company in the UK that can actually sponsor you the visa. And statistically speaking, less than 3% of people who are international students are able to get a skilled worker visa to stay in the UK every year. So we're speaking about a very small percentage of people that can actually make it. I'm saying this not to scare you off, but to actually inspire you, to tell you that you can actually do it. As someone who has done it before, I've got internship from a big pharmaceutical company, GSK, and I have got my first full-time job working for a tech company with skilled worker visa, and then got headhunted into a completely different company, still being on the skilled worker visa. I'm going to spill the tea and tell you how you can do it like I did. First of all, let me tell you how it actually works inside the process of applying to a skilled worker visa. Once you get a job offer, which again is the most difficult thing, then the rest of the application is usually handled by the company. Depending on the size of the company and how complex the company internal system is, they're going to either outsource the whole process to a third party, which could be a law company, or they have internal legal system that will handle the application process for you. But either way, they will ask you for different documents and materials like your passport, your educational certifications, etc., so that they will submit everything to the home office on behalf of you. And depending on the company, some of them they're going to cover the lawyer fee, application fee, and even they can accelerate the process for you and then pay the additional fee needed to accelerate the process. These kind of companies, they will essentially pay everything for you. There are also companies that are going to ask you to pay parts of the fee. Usually that will be like ranging from 500 to 1000 depending on how much it costs. But anyway, the key thing here I want to share is how I got my skilled worker visa around 3 years ago for the first time. I have reflected my past experiences and I have boiled down all the things into 5 key things that you will need to do. The first is to have a commitment to getting the skilled worker visa. What I mean by that is, I know we have this PSW, the post-study work visa, for all the students. As long as you have graduated from a university in the UK and you are eligible to apply for the PSW visa. But this is something that you need to think carefully about. When I was applying for my first full-time job in the UK as an international student, I didn't have the option of PSW visa. And partially, this actually helped me to commit fully into finding a job in the UK with a skilled worker visa, because the only option I can have was to get the skilled worker visa at that time. That essentially helped me to become super dedicated to find companies, to apply, and to use up all the resources I can. For example, if you have 2 routes, the first is, always opt out because you have a safety plan, versus another route where you don't have any other options, but instead you have to keep going. Then these 2 routes, obviously the second one is going to give you more success because this is the only way that you can make it, and you have to do it. Second, apply to companies that can actually sponsor you the visa. There's lots of companies in the market, and not every of them is able to sponsor you the visa, and it's critical to check if they can sponsor you the skilled worker visa before you apply, because if you do end up going further with your application for a company, but in the end you figure out they can actually not sponsor you, then you are wasting your time and effort. Generally speaking, there are a couple of industries in the UK that sponsor you the work visa. For example, finance, technology, insurance, property. These are the industry where they are growing a lot, and there's a lot of big companies within this industry. Usually speaking, companies in this industry, they have the appetite and eligibility to actually apply work visa for overseas students. Next, what you need to do is to find the right career direction for you. When I was applying for my first full-time job, I went ahead with the big buzz of being a management consultant because it just sounds really cool. What I didn't consider was, because my background was actually in life sciences and biology, I did not have any background or enough training in business. And being a consultant really relies on your business acumen as well as your English skill. And these are the things I did not have at that time, but I still decided to go ahead to apply to become a management consultant. Of course, I failed when I was doing that. Eventually, I figured out, based on my experiences, based on what I am interested, I figured out a new direction for myself. And this ended up to be one of the best career directions that I have chosen for myself, because it not only allows me to get my first full-time job and then got myself to be on a skilled worker visa, but at the same time, I did find joy doing this. And if you're curious of how I nearly got fired from my internship, then you can check out this video where I talked about my experience and the lessons I learned through that experience. What you need to do next is to have a professional CV that is up to the UK standard, because your CV is going to be the fact sheet or the summary about what you have achieved in your life, both academically and professionally. You need to spend a lot of time thinking about how you write your CV, as well as having a very concise, easy to read layout for the machine, the ATAS system. And at this point, because you're going to be someone who is pretty junior in your career, you need to show off your potential, and then these can come from the activities that you've done, the project that you have done, all the different types of achievement, plus your working experience. The most important thing you need to do is to be very excited and nearly obsessed about the company. So this is something that I did. When I was applying for my first full-time job, I was obsessed with the types of company that I was applying to, not the management consulting firm, of course. I did crazy amount of research about the company. I was like stalking the company on their LinkedIn, talking to people who have previously worked in that company to understand their culture, to understand, how the C-suite manage their people, and then what they enjoy versus what they didn't like about the company. So I had a pretty clear picture before I went into the interviews. The feedback I got from my interview, obviously, is they felt like they were talking to someone who was already working there. And it wasn't like a candidate. It was more than just a candidate, because I demonstrated how much I understood about the company. I demonstrated how I can help them solve the problems, and I demonstrated how I can be shapeable and adapted to different scenarios. So this is the level of obsession you need to have when you are looking for a company. They will see your obsession and your excitement of joining them. So these are the 5 things you need to do when you want to get a skilled worker visa. Obviously, the most important thing is to get the job offer first, but making sure that you have full commitment, apply to companies that can actually sponsor you, and apply with the right career direction, as well as having a professional CV, plus being super excited and obsessed with the company. These are going to be your winning component to get a job offer and get a skilled worker visa. And if you're someone who is just starting to explore your career options, or if you don't know how to start the whole job application process, I have a free training which I'm going to link in the comment below, where I'm going to talk about all the major mistakes that you should avoid and the 3-step process of landing a full-time job as an international student. So I'll see you guys in the next video.